Welcome back to Morning Break, and this week's Monday Motivations brought to you by Gates Brain Health. We have Dr. Randall Gates, who is a board-certified chiropractic neurologist and chiropractic physician, back with us. And today we're talking about blood sugar and how it impacts our brain health. So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, as always.
As always, good to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people prioritizing their health in the new year, something that we need to learn. And this isn't just something that, for me, I always think of like monitoring blood sugar in like my older grandparents, right?
Right.
But it's something that we all kind of need to be aware of, because what is blood sugar and how does it impact our body?
So blood sugar, in essence, should be in a certain range. So we eat food in order to have appropriate amounts of blood sugar. When we're fasting, our body can actually make sugar from different tissues in our body, fat tissue, muscle tissue. But we want it to be in a tight range, and frequently the American diet, we could say, is fostering higher levels of blood sugar and insulin. So as I've talked about in other broadcasts, I think it's 30% of Americans are pre-diabetic. About 10% are diabetic. So that's almost half of our population has an issue with blood sugar.
Wow.
So in the pre-diabetic phase, what happens is that if we eat a lot of carbs, we will actually have a higher amount of blood sugar than we should.
Okay.
And generally, we're making more insulin than we should. So go back to when I was a child, and I was, so happy to eat McDonald's, and I was eating so much because I was growing, and I was eating more than I should have been. But at that time, probably, as an example, I was able to make enough insulin to get all that sugar into the cells of my body. But through time, when we're pre-diabetic, then we will eat a high-carb meal, but sugar will go a little too high. And then all the time that we're eating, we're making more insulin than we should. So that's pre-diabetes. And then diabetes is where then your pancreas, speaking type 2. So type 2 diabetes is then where your pancreas can't make enough insulin for the amount of carbs we're eating. So then sugar starts to go higher and higher and higher.
Okay, and so a lot of people, especially anyone who's pre-diabetic or has any kind of diabetes, they're very aware of what it's doing to them physically, but mentally and what it's doing to our brain is something that we all need to be aware about.
I so agree. And so there's this phenomenon called advanced glycation end products, which is becoming really, really important in the world of brain health. So as I mentioned, when we're younger, think of your blood sugar as kind of being like this. However, when we're pre-diabetic, then our blood sugar is like this. So there's a lot of highs and a lot of lows, peaks and valleys, and those peaks and valleys are associated with these things called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. And then these AGEs are really, really impacting our brain. So much of the research on cognitive impairment and then Alzheimer's actually relates to how glucose is being regulated in the brain. Simply, once someone has cognitive impairment or Alzheimer's, we're now finding that if blood sugar is high in the body, it's actually low in the brain cells. And
so then you become maybe more perceptive or more likely to get Alzheimer's, or it can increase your symptoms of Alzheimer's?
Well, that's part of the Alzheimer's process we're now finding. So we've always noted, and I've talked about it on other broadcasts, the beta amyloid plaques and the phosphorylated tau, which is analogous to like sheet metal in this room, and then the 2x4 is crumpling in this room. So this room's not going to function as well. We see those pathological changes with Alzheimer's. But we're now realizing this glucose homeostasis issue that I'm talking about is a huge factor as to why the disease progresses. And it's not a fast disease most of the time. It comes on over 30 years. So that's why we need more awareness about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if we can take more strides forward to control our blood sugar, to be aware of it, can we do something about preventing cognitive impairment?
Yeah, which is amazing. So thank you so much, Dr. Gates, for being here. If you guys have any questions for Dr. Gates and want to learn more about this and stuff, you can go ahead, go to our website, kolotv.com, after the show, because this is where I'm going to post today's interview, as well as links to all of his websites and social media. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Katie. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll be right back.